And so you also mentioned that you're a lumper and versus a splitter. What is lumping and what is splitting?
So, whenever you're going to consider something and try to explain it, one of the first decisions that needs to be made is what it is. And you can either decide that pain is pain, and it should be lumped into one category, and you can assume that different types of pain, different painful diseases, have enough in common that if you could just explain how pain worked, that would apply to all of them. Now, that's a very seductive way to go because
And that's lumping?
and that would be lumping. And it's seductive because it reduces the scope of the problem down to this one thing, or maybe very few things. And all you need to do is explain that one thing, and suddenly you've explained everything. That's great, except for the fact that that might not be the way the world works, right? Instead of there being one type of pain, there may be hundreds of types of pain, and arthritis might be completely different from back pain, which might be completely different than headache. And if that's true, if you try to study them as one thing, you're never going to explain any of them. So the smarter decision would be to split them and study them all separately. Of course, no one wants to do that because now you've taken one thing that you needed to explain and turned it into 100 things that now you need to explain separately. And so then the motivation comes back to try to lump again. So a lot of fields, pain included, have spent a lot of time as new data come in trying to figure out what the optimal lump or split is of the thing they're trying to study. And it makes real, has real consequences. The problem, of course, is that it's an almost impossible decision to ever arrive at finally. New data will always affect whether you made the proper lumping or splitting decision, and then you need to remake it.
Right.
And in any field, like in pain, some people are more comfortable lumping and think that's the smarter decision, and some people are more comfortable splitting.
Okay. Can you give a few examples of what healthy lumping looks like and what healthy splitting looks like?
Well, again, the problem is you only know it after the fact. So
Right.
if you lumped and then you came up with some new mechanism that then you found out later actually did apply to various different types of pain. So for example, you lumped and you came up with a new drug, and that drug turned out to be effective for neuropathic pain and back pain and arthritis and migraine, then you would conclude upon looking back that you were smart to lump. But of course, if that drug never occurs, then eventually you might say to yourself, the reason why this is failing is because I should have split. And that might encourage a field over time to start splitting. So what generally happens is that either lumping or splitting is sort of in ascendancy in some field at one point in time, and that decision is constantly revisited as new data come in.